I make this recording to explain why I am trying to reawaken what I call the OuachitaMuur. For a number of years now, almost 3 years, I have been researching, seeking, and studying ancient Egypt. Always been interested in it, even Greek mythology, but now the focus has really been on ancient Egypt since I had started doing yoga. What I am awakened to is profound. It has changed my life. It has changed my lifestyle. My family and friends probably hardly recognize me because I used to be the person who was pursuing what's called the American dream. I'm well educated. I have multiple college degrees. I worked in corporate America and I was making 6 figures a year, driving nice cars, living in nice homes with nice mortgages, insurance payments, car payments, all of that. Yes, I've gone through some craziness because all of those those material things that I saw in the past, they can't make you happy. They can't make you quote unquote rich. They can't make you well. So as I kept studying, I began to understand what I believe now to be my truth. So I'm making these videos. I've been writing in a blog in WordPress, wordpress.com, OuachitaMuur, or you can go to OuachitaMuur.com, and that's OuachitaMuur.com, and see where I've posted a number of blogs that explain where my mindset and perspective has been recently. I kind of feel like that lady that was making those recording journals for her unborn child. I think that movie was Terminator, because she wanted to make sure he understood what the future was all about, and on the way to understand your present situation and your future is to look back. Sankofa, look back to what has happened in the past. Know who your ancestors are. Know where you came from. Know who you really are, despite allowing someone to tell you that information. So yes, my family and friends, they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet for this, and I don't blame them. A lot of them are doing what they think. They think they're doing very well in the corporate American dream. As long as they're not in pain, they're not hurting, I am so happy for them. But I do feel it I feel it that someday, if not them, their kids are going to want to know. They're going to want to know the truth about who they are, where they come from. So, OuachitaMuur, again, the concept, is it a place? Is it a destination? What is it? It's really a way for me, and I hope others, to acknowledge, affirm, and admire the truth about who we really are. A way for us to re-educate and become healthy in mind, body, and soul. That we are free beings, we're sovereign beings. That, there's a lot of craziness going on. People who are thinking they're in control or in controlling others. No, that's not really what this earthly experience is about. And it's mostly, mind control. It's a battle of who control other bodies based on propaganda and lies and untruths and miseducation. So, I started reading a lot and studying about ancient Egypt and Kemet, And I started really feeling this thing about, yeah, I can feel those ancestors. So I need to get in touch with my Africa. And I was, talking to my aunt when she was going through, some tough time in her life. And I was talking all this Africa stuff, and she looked me in the eye, and she gave me a stare I had never seen before. It was an intensity. It just like bore into my mind, my heart, and my gut when she said, "We are not from Africa." And I thought, okay, I've heard the stories about, we've got family who live both in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and they've been known to have very heavy Indian, Native American, tribal presence. And so I thought maybe she was just thinking, okay, we're mixed with Native American, which I've always heard as well from other people. But I was trying to embrace my African. And as I continue to dwell on my studies and research, and believe me, what you're looking for is looking for you. This is what I found on this path. What you're looking for is definitely looking for you. So then stuff started coming to me about the true indigenous Americans, not the Native Americans, not the Asiatic Native Americans, but the true indigenous Americans. And you get on the internet and you find books, and it's just amazing, the information out there. I'm gonna give a plug for the OuachitaMuur, WACHITUMUUR, that were phenomenal in jump starting some of my research to find out who I am. Love them, love them, love them. They went as far as to United Nations to get themselves acknowledged. And, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but I think during the Bush era, President Bush's era, the UN granted them a status of being, if not the oldest, but one of the oldest indigenous people on this earth. And they are indigenous to the area that many of the indigenous and Native American people call Turtle Island or North America. At that UN declaration, every country on the planet voted for this declaration except the United States and Australia, and I wonder why. Now, I also have heard, and I haven't done a lot of research, that President Obama went back to the UN and got it such that the United States could vote for that. But anyway, so my personal research, the OuachitaMuur are from the Louisiana area. They were mound builders. I found out there's a gigantic mound in Arkansas near where most of my family still live. And so I started looking, and like I said, what you're looking for is looking for you. Stuff started coming to me about the raccoon people. And the Oshita were raccoon mound builders. I think it was, I can't remember if his name was Hernandez de Soto or Coronado de Soto. Well, anyway, de Soto said when he met them, he called them the raccoon people because of their dark skin, and they were mound builders. And this was along the Ouachita mountain range. Now I come to find out that I always knew that the Ouachita mountain range started right south of what is now Interstate 40, that my parents used to travel all the time to go between Oklahoma and Arkansas. North of I-40 is it's another mountain range, Ozarks. But south of 40 is the Ouachita mountain range. That's where that starts. So that's the mountains that I played on every summer when I was a little girl, when I'd go visit my family in Arkansas. Well, what I recently found out, looking at some more maps, was that the Ouachita mountain range extends all the way down into some parts of Texas. And I actually moved to this mountain range in Texas, along this mountain range in Texas last year. Again, what you're looking for is looking for you. So if my aunt was speaking to me or someone was speaking through her that day, I'm I feel very good that they were trying to tell me, yeah, you are an indigenous American or indigenous to Turtle Island. Again, I did more research about the raccoon people, the mound builders, which were called Ouachita. What happened was they were reclassified as African slaves because they were dark-skinned. Yes, the colonists came here, they kept moving west. Somehow they ran into the Ouachitas and the very, very light-skinned ones. Some of them may have mixed with some of the Asiatic Native Americans. Those they took and put them on Indian reservations. And then the dark-skinned of the Ouachita Moors, they reclassified as African slaves and just really took their birthright and their identity from them. Another reason why I'm feeling very good about what I say when I say some of the dark-skinned OuachitaMuur were reclassified as African slaves is because I do know that the Ouachita were assimilated into the construct of what's called now the Chickasaw Nation, what they call one of the 5 civilized tribes. Interesting, they're called the 5 civilized tribes when I think at one point they were able to pay colonists were able to pay $5 to become members of the Chickasaw Nation. I don't know what that's all about, don't really care, but here's another link. My aunt had an uncle who was on the rolls of the Chickasaw Nation, only because he was very, very light-skinned. Now, this is the thing that's just crazy. His light skin allowed him to be on the Chickasaw Nation rolls, but his sisters and brothers who were dark-skinned could not be on the rolls. Now, those are my direct descendants, my descendants, my mama, Doshie, and them. They were too dark to be on the rolls, but their brothers and uncles and stuff who were light-skinned could be on the rolls. So that just tells you the hypocrisy of this whole system with the Native Americans here in the United States and these 5 civilized tribes and the $5 Indians, just craziness. So anyway, getting past that, it doesn't really matter because now I know I have indigenous roots. Maybe we didn't come from Africa. We are indigenous to Turtle Island. And then, continuing there, I've learned and studied how the Moors came to Turtle Island long, long before colonization. And they mixed with the Ouachitas. And that's why I call them mostly Ouachita Moors. But I spell it M-U-U-R-S because, of course, Earth is just one landmass. We have people trying to call things out as continents and countries, but there aren't. These borders are all man-made, okay? None of that stuff existed when the Earth was created, and probably at the end of all things, all those borders are just going to break apart. It's just man-made. So Mu, which pretty much stands for Mother Earth, Mu is who we are. We are Moos, or Moors. OuachitaMuur is the title that I go by now as far as who I am in my tribe. But the Moors, the North African Moors from Morocco, they came to Turtle Island long before colonization, and they mixed with the Ouachita. The Moors were preceded by the Olmecs of South Mexico or southern parts of Mexico, and they left clear evidence with those Olmec heads that they were here and that they practiced a lot of the same things as the Kemetic civilizations up to the 18th dynasty. Now, let's talk about, Kemet. I learned a lot about Kemet in my Kemetic studies. The Kemetic dynasty up to the 18th, the 18th dynasty, those were Nubians. People want to say, well, not all Kemites are Nubian. That is partially true because after the 18th dynasty, they started being invaded left and right. And so then you ended up with a different kind of people in Kemet doing Kemetic or trying to continue the Kemetic practices, but we all know where that went. So there's my connection to Kemet. The Olmecs clearly, like I said, in Turtle Island in the southern Mexico, spread out, did things. I'm sure, because I can feel it in my soul and spirit, they touched the Ouachita or the Ouachita touched them. And they, in their Kemetic practices, make that link, for my ancestors to go back at least to the 18th dynasty Kemet. I also learned that the Hopi Indians in Arizona today practice the same home structures and customs of the Dogon. The Dogon are, Central Africa, very, very rich heritage there. I was always considered a nerd in my family because I've always watched Star Trek, and the Dogon have always practiced and been in tune with celestial entities and celestial studies and tracking. And of course, the Dogon are famous for being able to identify Sirius B before any other scientists throughout this earth were able to see it or know it was there. And only with recent technology do they know that Sirius B exists, when the Dogon were training generations, future generations for many, many years where that star and those planets and everything is. So I embrace my Dogon ancestors. All this makes me today OuachitaMuur. And I pray someday my family and descendants will learn to acknowledge, affirm, and admire their truth as well. It's trying times in 2016. We're seeing a lot of craziness. If you don't understand it, most likely it doesn't make common sense. You need to do something different with that. Like I said, probably not your truth. And you're going to need to know who you are, where you came from, so you can know where you're going. So, Hotep, blessings to anyone who can hear this and glean something positive about who they are, what their truth is. And again, peace to everyone. Hotep.